The faster you get out of probate, the better results your family's gonna have. The hard truth is that probate delays cost dollars. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the biggest delays I have seen in probate and how you can avoid them. My name is Carolynn Castillo with Probate Property Angels. I have sold hundreds of inherited properties, and I'm gonna be sharing the most common delays I see families going through. Let's dive in. The number one delay that I see probate families going through is the lack of awareness of your ability to sell the inherited property. It's a very common misconception that people think they have to wait until probate is finalized to be able to sell the inherited property. That is not true. We sell hundreds of probate real estate transactions every single year, and we work with families and attorneys in getting the court authorization to sell the inherited property. Now, when you're inheriting a property, there's two types of properties you can inherit. You can inherit a homesteaded property, which is considered the primary residence of the deceased, or you can sell a vacation home or a second home, which is not the primary residence of the deceased. Now, when you are selling the homesteaded property, this property is actually protected from creditors. That means that if there's any bills, any credit card bills, medical bills, any bills that come up, the homestead property itself is exempt from being hit or attacked with these bills. Now, a second home or a secondary property is subject to creditors. Now, if you are selling, if your loved one did have a vacation property in Florida, you can sell that property right away, because that property, when it's sold, the proceeds will be held by the attorney's account and will be administered, all the debts, everything that has to be paid out from the estate, and then will be released to the heirs, okay? Now, if you're selling the homesteaded property, most attorneys will tell you that there's a 90-day creditor period that does have to pass. After that 90-day period, the attorney will file an order determining homestead. When they file an order determining homestead, that court document will literally put the property from the deceased name into your name, okay? And then you will be selling the property as the rightful owner of the property. Now, I can make a whole nother video about getting an inherited property put in your name and what are the pros and cons of selling inside of the estate versus selling in your direct name. So I'm gonna hold that information for another video. But for the purpose of this video is to say that why people think they have to wait until probate is finalized before they can sell the inherited property. When you're selling an inherited property, the estate is experiencing expenses such as the mortgage payment, such as the insurance payment, such as the maintenance of the home. This can cause a true financial burden for the executor, and it can also be hard to manage. So what we have found, the best way to go about this is that once we go ahead and we get a contract for your property for sale, we'll submit it to the attorney, and the attorney will request permission for authorization for the executor or the personal representative to sell the inherited property within the estate. Now, when you do this, what you're basically doing is cutting the bleeding, which means you sold the property, you no longer have to pay the mortgage payments, the utility bills, you've released all liability from this property, you've secured the assets, resources into the attorney's estate account, and then once the probate is finalized, you would receive your inheritance. So that's the number one misconception, and why people take long time to sell, probates get pulled and delayed, is because they think they have to wait to sell the inherited property until after the probate is completely finalized. The number two biggest delay that I see is attorney complacency. Now, this one may shock you, and you may think, how could that be? Trust me, I ask myself that question every single day. I cannot tell you how many executors I have worked with that have filed, have signed up with an attorney, have paid the retainer to hire the attorney. 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by, haven't heard anything from the attorney. called in and said, hey, how's my case going? And there's been absolutely no progress. Why does that happen? I can't even tell you why that happens. It's unprofessional, and I don't think that it should be allowed, but it happens every single day. There's probably out of all the cases that we get throughout the year, we probably do have about 10% of attorneys that executors have to hire another attorney to finish the probate case. Either because the attorney is unresponsive, the attorney has filed the inappropriate paperwork, their petitions have gotten denied, complacency, lack of communication. So if you're experiencing this with your attorney, when you work with Probate Property Angels, we work directly with your attorney. So when you hire us to be your realtor for the family, we're going to be contacting your attorney. The awesome thing about us is that Probate Property Angels specializes in selling property that goes through probate. So we know the timelines, we know the process, we know what the attorney should be doing, we know what paperwork needs to be filed. So when we get you on as a client and we're like, hey, you haven't gotten your letters of administration yet? Have you filed for your creditor period? Like, we know all the things that are supposed to be happening on your case, and we're able to shine a light or help your attorney say, hey, we're looking at selling this property. Do you have the letter of administration? Have you filed the creditor period? And all of a sudden, they put their rollerblades on and they get to work. If you're listening to this and you're finding that your attorney has fallen asleep at the wheel, you haven't heard anything, please set up a free consultation with my team so that we can discuss your exact situation, because having these delays will majorly cost your family a lot of money. The third most common reason that we see delays in probate is because of the logistical hurdles of preparing the property for sale. Now, we have a whole video about how to prepare a property for sale, but what can happen in these preparing the property for sale is you have to coordinate for the heirs to come get all the stuff. You know, people sometimes, oh yeah, Aunt Susie's coming, she doesn't come. Oh, Billy's coming to pick up the stuff, he never arrives. So you end up waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you're only one person. You have a job, you have kids, you have a life, you have a lot of activities. You know how much time it takes to clean out a lifetime of stuff inside of a house? A long time. So unless you're retired and you have no job and you can just sit over at the house and go through all the stuff, this can take an extremely long time to clean out a property, and not to mention, it's sometimes emotional to go through all of that, to be looking at all your loved ones' belongings and pictures and things like that. We have seen families take a very long time in preparing the property for sale. In that process of dragging that process out, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can change. The more time that goes by, the more challenges that can occur. So significant delays that you're going to be experiencing in these different scenarios. So whether you're just unaware of how to go about selling the property while you're in probate, whether your attorney is not really up to speed and is not moving very fast, or whether it's logistical hurdles of cleaning out the property, getting the property prepared, maintaining the property, these significant delays can result in continued expenses and the deterioration of the property's condition, and even the market can change and have substantial value on the property's value. So I've actually worked on cases where there's been a lot of family disputes and people not getting along. It ended up making the property preparation time take a long time because they're fighting over who's going to get the guitar, who's going to get the couch, stuff like that. And literally in that process of while they were going through all of that, the plumbing backed up into the entire house, okay? So now the family has to invest in the plumbing, because if they sell the property with all the, feces and everything that went up in all the tubs and everything like that, and they don't fix it, guess what? Now it's going to be a distressed sale. So now the family has to invest money into the property, fixing the plumbing, getting everything done because they're taking a very long time to get everything moving. Remember, guys, that the real estate is a living, breathing, it requires attention, it requires utilities to be on, anything can happen. A pool motor can break, the air conditioning can break, so many things can go wrong in real estate. So it's in your best interest to get out of probate as fast as possible, hire people to help you. Like here at Probate Property Angels, we come in and we prepare the property for you. We clean it out, we clean it up, we do an estate sale, and you don't even have to pay anything up front. We charge everything to the closing, so the executors don't have to pay anything. We get everything done in a streamlined process, and we net you the most money possible. So if this sounds like something that we can help your family with to expedite your probate process, feel free to book a consultation today, and we look forward to working with you soon.